I always thought we were different, that the bond we had was something other people envied. Her name was Aria, and to me, she was sunlight wrapped in laughter, the one person I trusted without a second thought. We met in college, grew into adulthood together, made plans, whispered dreams to each other at midnight when the world felt too heavy. Maybe that's why it hit harder. I didn't see the signs when they started. The longer nights out with friends, the phone calls she took in the other room, the distant way she smiled at me like I was someone she used to know. I chalked it up to stress, to the way life pulls at people when they're trying to build a future. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. I found out by accident, not because she confessed. I was looking for my headphones and borrowed her laptop. There it was, a conversation left open like a wound, text between her and someone named Daniel. Flirty, reckless messages. Plans made. Nights spent together when she had told me she was working late. My chest tightened in a way I'd never felt before. It wasn't just betrayal, it was the realization that the person you thought you knew was a ghost in your hands. When I confronted her, she cried. Told me she was confused, that it didn't mean anything, that she still loved me. Her words spilled out in desperate, ugly sobs, but the damage was too deep. Love doesn't survive on apologies alone. It needs truth and trust, and both had been shattered. I walked away that night without slamming the door, without yelling. I think that hurt more, the quiet. She called after me, but I didn't turn back. Sometimes leaving is the loudest thing you can do. Months have passed, but some wounds don't close neatly. I'm better now, stronger in ways I wasn't before, but I still remember. Not her. Not Daniel. I remember who I was before I learned that even the brightest lights can cast shadows you never see coming. Some nights, when the city hums low and the world feels unbearably still, I wonder if she ever thinks about what she broke. Not the relationship. No, that ended the moment lies became easier than honesty. But the quiet, invisible things. The way I used to trust without question. The way my heart would leap just seeing her name light up my phone. The belief that love, real love, was enough to hold two people together. You don't just lose someone when they cheat. You lose the version of yourself that believed in them. I tried dating again after a while. Everyone said it was the healthy thing to do, the natural next step. But there's a hollow space inside me now that I didn't know existed before. I smile, I laugh, I play along, but when it gets too real, when someone looks at me like they might actually care, I flinch. Trust isn't a switch you can just turn back on. It's a wall you have to rebuild brick by bloody brick, and sometimes your hands are too tired to lift another stone. I heard from a mutual friend that Aria moved away. Different city, new life. Maybe she's happy now. Maybe she tells herself a story where what happened wasn't really her fault. Maybe Daniel was just another chapter that didn't last. I don't know. I don't ask. I'm learning not to carry anger like armor. Some betrayals aren't worth holding on to, no matter how deep they cut. Not because they didn't hurt, they did, but because healing means choosing peace over bitterness every damn day. I'm not the same person she loved, or lied to, or left behind. Maybe that's the only closure I'll ever get. And maybe that's enough. It happened on a Tuesday. I was standing in line at a coffee shop, half distracted by my phone, when I heard someone say my name. Soft. Careful. Like they weren't sure if they had the right to speak it. I looked up and there she was. Aria. She hadn't changed much. Same warm brown eyes, same way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous. For a second, just a second, all the old memories came flooding back. The nights we spent talking until sunrise. The trips we planned but never took. The promises whispered against my skin. And then I remembered the messages. The betrayal. The quiet sound of the door clicking shut behind me when I left. Hey, she said, offering a small, tentative smile. I wasn't expecting to see you. I nodded, the air between us thick with everything we weren't saying. Yeah. It's been a while. We ordered our coffees and somehow ended up sitting across from each other, the way people who used to mean everything sometimes do. She talked about her new city, her new job. I talked about the small things, work, friends, the weather. Safe topics. Harmless ones. But beneath the surface, there was a current pulling at us. All the apologies that hadn't been spoken. All the anger that had burned out into cold indifference. I'm sorry, she said finally, her voice barely a whisper. For everything. For hurting you the way I did. I stared at her for a long moment. Once, hearing those words might have broken me open. Now, they just felt distant. Like someone apologizing for a storm that passed years ago. "I know," I said. And I meant it. We didn't promise to keep in touch. We didn't hug. We just stood, two people with too much history and no future, and said goodbye like it was the easiest thing in the world. Walking away this time didn't hurt. It felt like closing a book you finally finished. No anger. No sadness. Just peace. And maybe that's what healing really is. Later that night, the peace I thought I'd found started to slip. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second of seeing her again. Her voice. Her eyes. The way she looked at me like she still carried the weight of what she did. And damn it, part of me wanted to believe her, to believe that she had changed, that the apology meant more than just words tossed into an empty space between us. But the heart remembers what the mind tries to forget. I remembered the feeling of sitting alone in that cold apartment, reading those messages, realizing that while I was planning a future, she was undoing it behind my back. I remembered the way trust slipped through my fingers, the way I broke without making a sound. I remembered how I spent months wondering what was wrong with me, what I missed, what I wasn't enough of. And seeing her again, even now, even after everything, cracked something open. I wanted to hate her. It would have been easier. Cleaner. But what I felt wasn't hate. It was something messier, something heavier. Grief for a version of myself I couldn't get back. The boy who loved without fear. Sleep didn't come easy that night. It hasn't since. I don't know if she thinks about it, about us, when she closes her eyes. Maybe she's forgiven herself. Maybe she had to, just to survive. Me. I'm still somewhere between forgetting and remembering. Somewhere between moving on and looking back. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a long, broken road full of nights like this, where you wonder if the past ever really lets you go, or if it just follows you in a quieter form. But I know this much, I didn't answer her message the next day. I didn't go looking for a second ending. Some stories are meant to be left unfinished. And some people, no matter how much you love them, are meant to stay in the rearview mirror. Months passed, and the ache that once felt sharp and constant softened into something quieter, like a distant echo rather than a scream. I started to rebuild myself, piece by piece. It wasn't about forgetting her or pretending nothing happened. It was about finding a way to live without carrying her shadow everywhere I went. One afternoon, I found myself walking through a park we used to visit together. The leaves were turning gold and red, crisp in the fall air. I sat on a bench, watching children chase each other and couples hold hands, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a strange kind of calm. I pulled out my phone and typed a message, not to her, but to myself. A reminder of how far I'd come, a promise to keep moving forward, no matter how hard it got. I deleted it before sending, but the act felt like closure. Love had broken me, but it didn't have to define me. I realized then that letting go wasn't about erasing the past. It was about making peace with it, so I could step into whatever came next without fear. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled, not because I forgot, but because I was finally free.